All right, hey everybody, welcome back to Misfit Corner Comics Presents. This is the artist Andrew speaking, and tonight we are live streaming once again. And I'm joined by Avery Butterworth, my good friend and fellow artist, and the fantastic colorist of Hero Book 1, which I cannot wait to share with you all. Hey, Commodore, how's it going, man?
Hey, what's up?
I actually do have something I need to work on tonight. There's a panel that I redid for book 2 that I really didn't like the way I ended up redoing it, so I'm going to redo it again. Damn it, you don't get it right the first time, you do it again. Oh, Commodore says he followed Avery on Twitter and Facebook, so...
Oh, cool, thank you.
You now have a new stalker.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, not funny.
Yeah, well, come on, you gotta laugh at some things sometimes. Alright, I'm gonna get started here. Yeah, Commodore, you're not going to turn out to be a stalker, are you? I hope not. Commodore's cool people.
Good. Yeah, thanks for following, Commodore. I appreciate it.
So, when I'm done with this one and a few other small tweaks, I'll have the first 7 pages for Hero Book 2 ready to go. I'll probably have more because as the pages went on, I got into a groove and they were a little bit better. But there's some pages where there's some things I I look back on now and I go, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. And they're small things. They're small things. So it shouldn't take a long time to fix them. It's just, you know what? If I didn't like them then, you know, the best time to fix them is before I hand them off to you, you know? That's just how it's going to have to go. But, ooh. Today was a pretty good day at work. Nothing major happening. So I was happy about that. Commodore says he'd never stalk anybody without their permission.
Cool. I
searched for Avery on Facebook, and the first Avery I found was the actor who played Cisco in Deep Space Nine. I don't think he has the same last name, but yeah.
It's Avery Brooks.
Avery Brooks, that's right.
He was on Spencer for Hire too, I believe.
He was also in that movie, The Big Hit, with Mark Wahlberg and Blue Diamond Phillips, the one that we saw in Orlando that time. You, me, Todd, and Ramel.
I remember that movie, dude.
You don't remember it?
No.
You know, I have it on Blu-ray. I should let you borrow it.
I could care less.
Oh well. I know it didn't have a digital copy. Oh, at least I don't think it did. Well, heck, I'll have to double check. It might have had a digital copy.
It probably didn't leave that much of an impression on me.
Well, it left a huge impression on me, all right?
Okay, but I don't remember it at all.
Oh, he said he didn't know what your last name was, so...
Oh.
Well, I think if... No, never mind. It's not worth it.
Oh, Butterworth. He knows he found me.
Yeah.
He found my art page.
Okay, very good, very good.
I don't really take new followers on my personal page. I've actually, on my personal friends page on Facebook, I've mostly started just deleting people. It's like, I never talked to you, bye. I never talked to this person, bye.
Well, I did that on my Twitter page recently. I went through and see who I followed, and I'm like, there was a couple people there. Because usually if somebody follows me, I'll follow them right back. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. But there were some people I'm like, I have no clue who these people, how I ever followed them in the first place.
Yeah.
Or how, you know, so.
Well, Facebook is kind of dead for promoting stuff, so I'm just going to make my personal Facebook, not the art page, just my personal Facebook, just people I personally know.
Yeah.
Maybe a few artists I like.
Well, that's why I have the 2 pages. I have the public one and the private one. The private one only has maybe 50 people in it, and that's just friends and family.
Well, that's going to be my only Facebook eventually, is a private one.
Yeah.
Because no one sees your posts on Facebook unless you pay for it.
Yeah.
Which is fine for my art page. I'll be like, okay, I'll accept that when I have something to pay for to promote. All right, fine. I'll deal with that and give it a shot.
Yeah. You know, I was starting to run out of things to talk about on my coming out as Comicsgate video journal.
Mm-hmm.
So I went on and posted something else to see if I can get somebody to bite. We'll see what happens.
Or you can just let it be over because it wasn't that big a deal.
Well, I could, but I was enjoying making the video, so.
Well, it's eventually got to end.
Well, everything eventually comes to an end, but.
The reaction's been pretty mild.
Well, I've gotten a lot of support on my YouTube channel for it. A lot of good comments and interactions with people, and
I mean,
you know, I'm all for. I don't care what happens on Facebook, but you know, I could care less about what ends up happening there. Like you said, burn the whole thing down, burn it all down. You know.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, just remind me. What's that other one that everybody's talking about?
I don't know.
The website that all the Nazis hang out at?
It's not just Nazis. It's a free speech platform, so they don't censor people.
Right. Just remind me not to go over there. That's all I'm saying.
No, I don't. I think shutting them down is dumb, but I've never been there.
Yeah. Commodore says, do you think the anti-Comicsgate journals really believe what they say? You mean the journalists? No. I think a lot of them say stuff in order to get clicks. And, you know, if talking about Comicsgate is what gets it going, that's what they're going to talk about. You know? And how many times have you seen a YouTube video by someone you follow that is obviously clickbait, you know, trying to get people's attention? Journalists do the same exact things.
Oh, they know quite a bit of it isn't true. They know.
Oh, all they got to do is imply, you know. They don't really have to say anything.
Oh, look at that new one where they talked about that shooter in Kentucky. They tried to connect it, the comic book, to Comicsgate in the title.
What? Yeah, wasn't that a Mary Sue article?
Yeah, dude.
Oh, jeez.
Like, that's gross, dude.
No. Well, you remember how was it? It was either Tara Bonvillain or it was one of those real radical anti-Comicsgate people, professionals that was trying to associate the shooting here in Jacksonville to Comicsgate. The video game thing.
Oh yeah.
It's like, that's just disturbing. But, well, they're not
gonna stop.
No, I know.
Ideologues can't stop themselves from doing crazy stuff like that.
Yeah.
They'll always find a new way to escalate. There'll always be some new thing where they can just make it weirder and weirder and weirder.
Yeah. D Loves All Things says, I think the journalists and critics never take the time to find out how Comicsgate people really are. You know, they never reach out to anybody. You ever notice that? They love reporting on stuff, but they never ask anybody anything. You know, it's not like it's almost like they refuse to do an interview with somebody. You know, they base everything on what other people say in their Twitter and so forth. And it's like, that was one of the things I noticed when I came out Comicsgate on my Facebook, is how many people who were totally anti-Comicsgate had no idea who anybody else was other than Richard. You know, EVS's name came up a few times, but that was it. It was Richard, EVS, Richard. And it's like, there are so many other people out there. And the fact that you guys don't know who they are tells me you don't know what Comicsgate is about. You really don't. You know? But, oh well. That's like that thing about, you know, when they go to the college campuses and they start asking people, you know, their opinions on stuff, and they ask them, like, who's the vice president? And they're like, I have no idea. Who's your senator? Oh, I have no idea. You know, they only pay attention to what they want to pay attention to. And most of the time, they're not paying attention to anything. They're just regurgitating what other people say.
You notice they also use the same language with you.
Oh yeah.
The lay down with the dogs. You get the same language before things started getting nasty with other people.
Yep.
They use those same sort of like thinly veiled threat. I was like, well, this is exactly the same language.
Yep.
It's like, why do you all talk exactly the same?
Well, it's just easier just to repeat what other people say than actually try to make your own opinion, you know?
Yeah. Like, I get that the soy boy NPC thing is a joke, but I rarely say it. I usually talk about how pathological their behavior is.
Yeah, D Loves All Things says, I think if they really spent the time to get to know us, I think they'd like us. Well, maybe that's true. But it's easier just to hate somebody for taking a stance than it is to actually get to know them. So,
you know what?
What?
Though I've met editors and stuff and said, be like, you know, all I really want to do is make some cool stuff, you know. And you could see something like it bothered them a little. Like they consider making something that's just meant to be fun a problem.
Yeah, well,
they got an issue with it.
Honestly, I think the fun, the entertaining, the stuff that makes people happy, you know, and enjoyable is going to last so much longer than the stuff where people are trying to force politics down on them, you know? I think people, you know, 20 years from now, they're going to remember Cyberfrog. You know, they're not going to remember Chelsea Cain's Man-Eaters, you know?
I didn't even buy Ethan's Cyberfrog back in the day, and I remember it.
It's true. Yeah, I actually owned an original piece of art from Cyberfrog. I'm looking forward to one day telling Ethan that story. I mean, not the fact that I no longer have the piece of original art, but the fact that I had met him at a show one time, and there's more to that story, and I'm going to save it to when I actually ever get a chance to talk to him. But see if he remembers it. He probably does.
No.
He doesn't remember. He won't remember meeting me, but he'll remember the things that I tell him about the show that I remember. Well, I'm not going to, like I said, I'll save that to when I have a conversation with him one day. Which I had an opportunity to do so, and I chickened out because I'm a whine weaselly little guy who, didn't have the courage of my convictions to stand up and say hi. Oh, well. I ever tell you guys a story of my meeting one of my second all-time favorite artists, Michael Golden? I ever tell you guys that story? All right, everybody, gather around. It's story time with Uncle Drew. Many, many, many years ago, back when we were still riding on dinosaurs, I went and set up at my very first comic book convention and bought a table, had copies of one of my books, and had my kids with me. And I'm trying to remember how old they were, but they were old enough that they came with me and had a good time. But when we got there, it just so happens it was a Heroes Con. You guys need to start advertising on John Malin's show, Blacklist Universe, EVS's show. Yes, that is definitely something we're going to do. I did meet Mike Miller in New York and showed him my stuff, and he said, hey, we may try to get you on the Aloha Hour. And I said, that'd be great. And I just need to follow back and touch base with him again. These guys aren't easy to get in contact with, But, yes, it's Gab. Commodore says he has a Gab. Funny enough, Gab helped law enforcement with the Gab shooter, but Twitter didn't alert the cops about Smash Racism DC streaming the protest at Tucker Carlson's house. Yeah, weird, isn't it? All right, so let me get back to my story. This was the very first show I did by myself, so to say. Actually, no. This was right after, technically, the Comic Geek Speak 300 episode wasn't really a comic book convention. It was just an appearance at the show, at their recording. And I had copies of my first Cornerstone trade. And I took the leftovers, the extras, with me to Heroes Con. And when we got to the show, riding dinosaurs, yes, I know. Just trying to remember how long ago it was. I think it was 96, to be honest with you. So it's been a while. But when I got to the show, we came into to where the convention's at, and I was showing the kids where to find the table and so forth. And I saw over, like one set of tables over, I saw Michael Golden, and I pointed him out to my kids, and I said, guys, that right there is a comic book god. And they were like, really? He says, oh, yeah, he's awesome. And they're like, well, why don't you go over there and talk to him? I says, no, I don't, I'm very shy, I'm not going to do that. Well, the last day of the show was Sunday, which Heroes Con usually takes place over Father's Day weekend. And that last day, my kids, they were like, hey, Dad, we're going to go walk around. I'm like, yeah, you just stay together as long as you guys are together. They went over and they left. And then they came back and they said, Dad, we went over there and we talked to Michael Golden. We told him that you're a big fan of his stuff and him, but you're too shy to go over and meet him. And he told us to tell you to get your ass over there. And they were like, he told us to say ass. So that's the only reason why we're doing it. So I left the table behind. I went over there and introduced myself to him and met him and bought one of his prints because, of course, I can't afford any of his original art and so forth. But he was very impressed with my children, and he thanked them for letting me getting to be introduced to him, and that was a really cool weekend for me. just because of that fact. And the kids are very, very proud of themselves. And that was the first time they got to curse and get away with it. So, yeah, maybe it was 06. I'll have to double check. Oh, God, when was that? I have the badge. I have all my badges from all the different shows I went to, and that's one of my earliest ones. 06 might have been, well, that would, yeah, you're right. 06 probably was right because Michael would have been 12 and Ayla would have been 11. So they were old enough that they could go with me, but then they were old enough that I would let them go walk around a convention together. So that's probably right. 96, that would make Mike 3 years old. So I'm pretty sure it wasn't 96. Thank you, Justin. I appreciate the help. But the other really sad part about that show was Mike Ringo was like 2 tables behind us because we were actually at a table facing the back wall, and he was like 2 tables over, and every morning he came through and I said good morning to him and said hello to him, but I never had a chance to go over there and actually talk to him, and he ended up passing away like later that year or so, or maybe it was the next year. So however long ago Mike Ringo passed away was about the same time. Yeah, but I remember him walking past because where my table was set in the corner, you had to go right past my table in order to get to the tables over on my left. And every morning, hey, Mike, how's it going? Yeah, went on by. But I regret not going over and saying hello to him and, telling him how much I enjoyed and absolutely loved his stuff. And so, in other words, guys, the moral of this story is, if there's a comic book artist or a comic book creator who you love their stuff and you adore, next time you go to a show, make sure you go out of your way to go shake their hand and thank them for what they've done for you. Just let them know, because you never know in life. You may never, ever get that opportunity again. So, hence my lesson for the day.
Don't bother, they all hate you.
Yeah. No, they all hate Avery. They love me. Now, one of these days, I'll have to tell you guys the story of the first time I met Art Adams, who is my all-time favorite comic book artist ever. Who, by the way, if there wasn't an Art Adams, if there wasn't a Michael Golden, there wouldn't have been an Art Adams, because Art Adams was very much a, I don't want to say clone of Michael Golden, but he very much inspired by him. Just like J. Scott Campbell was very much inspired by Arthur Adams. So, everybody has their inspiration. But Art Adams is the one who made me want to be a comic book artist. What made me want to draw comic books was when I saw his stuff. So he always has that little place in my heart. And I actually did meet him at a show a few years ago and shook his hand and introduced myself and showed him my book and told him how much. I even told him he was the reason why I wanted to draw comics and so forth. And I'm sure he forgot about me. It's not a big deal, but oh well. Justin says he regrets not meeting Jamie D from CGS, still hearing his input. Oh yeah, I love Jamie. Jamie was a wonderful person. He actually, I have a funny Jamie D story. It's actually a Todd story. I wish Todd was here. But at the first New York Comic Con, Todd was giving out free copies of his book that he was working on at the time, which I helped do some of the scripting for. So I was there with our other friend Romel, and it was a comic called Kifu Fighters. And we gave copies to all the CGS guys because we met them there. And they did a review of the comic on their show. And Jamie D kind of said, there's some stuff in here that makes me think of it's just advertisements for a card game. And at the time, I think it was either Peter or one of the other main guys at the CGS that contacted Todd and said, hey, listen, if you want to, Jamie kind of gave you I'm not sure about this kind of review. If you want to get back at him, call up and leave a message and mention his tidy whities. And that's where the whole thing with Jamie D and his tidy whitey started. Was when they were trying to give Todd some useful banter to go back and forth with Jamie D. So the shiznit pimp. Oh, he's a good man. He's a good man. Have I ever met Mark Waid before he went nuts? No, I did not, and I'll tell you why. Because I really don't care about writers. I don't mean to be mean or anything like that, but when it comes to comic book persons and creators, I've always gone towards the artists. If somebody's a writer, okay, cool. That's not a big deal to me. But being an artist is a big deal. And so I don't actually, there's a few writers that I do know and that I know personally that I've met over the years, and they're fantastic. But when it comes to the big name guys like Mark Waid or Peter David, they're just writers. I know that's bad, but
I follow artists, not writers.
Yeah, that's true. Well, if I was in a situation where I was meeting an artist that I knew, I could probably rattle off 15, 20 comics that they've written or they've drawn and that I could name like off the top of my head, But when it comes to writers, I don't pay attention to that enough to be able to say, oh yeah, remember that one comic? I just don't know it well enough to be able to do that, Now there are a few writers that I would like to meet now that I'm a little bit more comfortable and confident. And Jason Aaron would be one. Brian K. Vaughan would be another. I think some of their work is absolutely fantastic, and I've learned to appreciate them more and more over the years. But in those days of long gone when we did conventions all the time, I never sought out the writers. Never did. Except for maybe writer artists like Walter Simonson, John Byrne, those type of people I would definitely gravitate towards because I love their art as well. So I did get to meet Walter Simonson once, and his wife Wheezy. So, all right.
She's a really good writer.
Yeah. All right. Let me show you guys something. All right. I'm happy with this sketch, but I'll show you if I can. All right. Where is? Oh yeah, here it is. This was. Let me raise the camera a little bit. This was the original panel for that page, and I made his hero's nose is just way too big.
A little.
It's way too big. And it was kind of more, I kind of was going with more of a Looney Tune look to it. Mm-hmm. And then I redid it like this, and I gave him kind of more of the softer look in his face, but it wasn't right. It just still didn't bother me, so I redid it.
How much time has passed in that book?
Oh, I know. There's a lot of time, so.
How much time has passed? He looks older. He looks like a young man hero.
Yeah, but this is an attempt to kind of unify it with the way he looks in the rest of the book. Okay. It's just it was like the first 5 pages of book 2 where I would jumping back into Hero because I had done some stuff. I had finished some stuff, and I just wasn't comfortable with it. I eventually got comfortable with him and got back into the groove. But those first few pages was me just trying to go in a way that just didn't work, Chris Claremont was the X-Men writer when I was a kid. He's the only one I'm awestruck with today.
Very cool. Yeah, dude. I love. I bought all the X books back then, dude.
Yeah. Actually, I did not buy. Well, no, I did buy Claremont some of his run on the X-Men, but it was the John Byrne X-Men that I missed out on completely. I actually got most of those I followed when they reprinted them in Classic X-Men. That's when I was introduced to John Byrne's X-Men, which, by the way, it was absolutely freaking fantastic.
That written by Claremont?
John Byrne did some of the writing as well. But yeah, you're right. You're right. Dark Phoenix Saga and all that. Yeah. That was Claremont. See, I told you, I can't pay it. I don't know the writers.
I bought Dark Phoenix Saga. I bought in reprints.
Yeah.
In Classic X-Men, and I bought the trade way back when. So I like that story so much I bought it twice. I was reading X-Men Classic or Classic X-Men. They switched it back and forth at least once. And I was like, come on, get the Dark Phoenix Saga. I want to read it. But then I found a trade, bought the trade, read it. Then like a few months or a year later, they got the Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I may want to tweak the next 2 pages of Hero. Book 2 is him running, and I made his ears too long, and these are the original panels, and I'm gonna just touch them up a little bit, but that should be easy. Yeah, like I said, the part where he goes and jumps off the cliff, that's pretty much done the way I want it. So, like I said, probably by the time I see you this weekend, the first 7 pages at least will be finished and ready to go. And I went out and bought some USB drives, 16 gigabyte drives. So I'll have the pages all ready for you.
Okay.
Whew.
I gotta find some drives.
Well, I got like I said, I bought a 5-pack. So if you need 1 or 2, I can lend them to you.
I've got a couple here that I've gotten from you. So I just need to find them. And
how big's the one I carry on my keychain? So I carry one on my keychain. I don't know.
You know what? I need to go through all my stuff and unpack some of the studio stuff on me because I have a 32 somewhere.
Oh, okay.
I bought it years ago. It's in a box. I don't know where. In the package. I never opened it.
Commodore says, at least it was only 5 pages. It took a while for 2 kinds to get their style. 2 kinds? I'm not sure what that is. Actually, it's probably more than 5 pages. I'm just saying 5 pages just so he can get off my case. Oh. Oh boy, oh boy. All right, let's see. I think with this one, I'm just going to just tighten up the faces a little bit. I may not even make a video of this. Where's my other pencil?
Why not?
Huh?
Why not make a video of it?
Well, damn it, I guess I should. Well, hold on, I gotta save the last one. You know what's really sad is I made a video of me redoing that one panel, and now I've redone it a second time. So I'm going to get another video out of it. If any of you all out there in live stream land are interested, I usually take the videos that I do while I draw during the live streams, and I speed them up and add music to them and post them over the next 2 days. So if you ever miss out on one of my live streams and you want to just catch up on whatever it is I'm drawing, that's the best way to do it. Page 2A. There we go. The method to my madness. You know, I don't know if any of y'all out there follow Ethan Van Sciver. He had started to do that, where he would take segments out of his live streams and make them into standalone videos. That's kind of what I'm doing, but I wasn't inspired by him to doing that because I had been doing it beforehand. But you know, might as well. Oh, you know what's so funny? I look at this one panel. And you see how his eyebrows are like these solid triangles.
I can't see everything.
Okay, don't worry about it. Just trust me when I tell you that it's a solid triangle. When I first originally designed Hero, his eyebrows were just these big, huge triangles. It wasn't until I got done, or very close to being done with book 1, that I went back and said, I can get more emotion out of his face if I make his eyebrows, bendable and movable and maybe a little bit thinner. So I literally went back and changed all of his eyebrows in book 1. And book 2, I started with the way the old style was. And I may have gone back and tweaked these a little bit in the book. I'll have to double check, but that's just one of those silly things that artists will do sometimes. They'll, man, I don't know why he had a pointed nose here. He doesn't have a pointed nose. His nose is round. I guess I was just, experimenting with the way he looked. Yeah, that kind of thing happens.
You were experimenting.
I was experimenting, all right.
That's what they all say. I swear to God.
It's just experimenting, yeah. Oops, that's too long. What's so funny is when you have a creator-owned character, you tend to draw them so much that you know every single thing about them, and you also know when it's not right. And sometimes I'll look at even my own drawing and I'll say, that's just not right, And I figured before I go and hand it off to my colorist, it's time to make it right. Doesn't that sound like a good idea? Doesn't that sound like a plan made in heaven?
No. Fix this now.
Fix it
now.
Fix it now. Rusty chainsaws and all, right?
Oh, dude.
Yeah, I went there.
Rusty chainsaws. Fix it now. Dude, who are you? You crazy man. It's the internet. You're gonna get trolled.
Yeah.
If you're on the internet and you haven't been trolled yet, I don't know what to tell you.
I don't think I've been trolled yet, really.
Yeah.
All right, hold on a second. Commodore says, so how much do you hope to get on Indiegogo, and how would you use your goal? Like you hope to get enough to pay off your mortgage so you can spend more time working, take a year off of work. And then D Loves All Things says, I think most artists would love their stuff are never satisfied. That is absolutely a true statement. Commodore, to be honest with you, I talked to Avery about this, and what I'm planning on doing is I have a set idea of a certain number of copies that I want to have printed in a certain format, and I want to set the goal close to that. And the idea is if we actually make the goal, then we could actually have enough to provide even nicer perks. So there's no paying off our mortgage, and I'm hoping to make enough to do the printing, and then enough to keep Avery satisfied while he works on the coloring of the second book. Be honest with you, I am not in this to make money for myself. At least not with this first book. This first book is to get it out there and get it in people's hands and so forth. It'd be great if we made a whole bunch of extra money, but that's not the goal.
It'd be great, but that's not likely to happen. We're unknowns. Just getting enough money to print the thing would be a giant accomplishment.
And if any of you out there have followed any of the Indiegogos, I'm hoping to do a Doug TenNapel. And if you're familiar with Doug's Bigfoot Bill, and you know you'll have an idea of what I'm talking about. I'm not going to say it out loud because it's a wish. It's not a goal. So we'll see if we get there. But
why not say it out loud?
Not because I'm not going to.
You're weird.
Yeah, I know.
I'd say it out loud.
All right, fine. I'll say it out loud. I envision Hero, the full color edition, to be a hardback book. And that's my goal, is to make enough money to be able to print it as a hardback book and make it so that it's affordable enough that it's possible. It is absolutely possible.
It is possible, but it would.
No. Don't start trying to squash my dreams.
No, I'm not. No,
at this point, it's a full color trade paperback.
Mm-hmm.
It's right now it's 162 pages of story, and depending on how the funding goes, there'll be a lot of extra pages added, because I have a whole bunch of supplemental stuff that can easily be added to it. But the bare minimum is going to be about 10 extra pages with 162 page story. So you're looking at about 175 page full color graphic novel. And there's some goals that if we reach them, it could be a 200 page book and have a hardcover. That's ultimately what I'd like. But we'll see. We'll see. That may end up being another campaign at another time. But right now, it's a full color graphic novel that I cannot, that as of right this second, it's fully colored. Am I right?
Yeah.
I'm not lying. So
it's fully colored, except for if there's any revisions you need.
Yeah, but we'll have time during the campaign to take care of all that. So
yeah, but it's fully colored.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome, guys. All right, hold on a second. D says, I think most artists who love their stuff are never satisfied. That is absolutely true. Some trolls grief people because they like the person, like Pi and EVS. Yeah. You're not going to wash your hands.
Yeah. That kind of trolling is.
Well, he thought my Doug Tenaple thing was that I wasn't going to wash my hands. That's funny. Yeah. Very good. No. It's he had set a goal that if he reached it, all the books would become hardcovers.
Yes.
That's my goal as well. Is I'm going to set a certain goal for myself that if we reach it, it's done. Everybody gets a hardcover. But very excited. Very excited.
I say 6 figures, young lady. That would guarantee it, even though I know the amount's actually lower.
It's a lot lower, so.
Yeah, right now we're just looking to build trust with this first book.
Oh yeah.
And it'd be.
One of the things we're saying to everybody is that book 1 is done. Completely drawn, completely lettered, completely colored. Book 2 is completely drawn, completely lettered, and ready to go to the colorist. Book 3 is almost halfway drawn. This isn't a here, give us some money so that we can spend the next 6 months working on it. Which, granted, that's the way people have got to do it, and I don't fault them at all. But what I'm saying is, our book is done. And when the campaign's over, we're going to place the order and people will get it in their hands within weeks. Well, maybe 30 days. It depends on how long it takes to get the money and how long it takes to ship and how long it takes, all that stuff. But the bottom line is,
from the time once the campaign's over, the books will be ordered.
That's right.
Just say it like that.
Yep.
Because you don't know how long it's going to take to get the book printed and to get shipped to you, and how long it's going to take you, because we're both going to have to sit down and sign them all.
Yeah. Well, luckily we live close to each other. So.
And do all the sketches for however many sketches are ordered at that perk.
Yep.
Because the sketches are going to be drawn by Andrew, watercolored by me.
A lot of them will be, yeah. Well, as many as you're willing to do.
And we may throw some other things in there that we're not going to tell anybody about, like other little sketches and things we have laying around.
And maybe some original art and so forth. Yeah. I got a whole bunch of that around here.
Yeah, because and I've got sketch cards laying around the house I've done. You never know, just randomly, who we're just going to throw that in with your stuff.
Yep. We're be honest with you guys, we're going to have a lot of fun with it. So I'm looking forward to it. I know Avery's looking forward to it. And I think You know, we're just going to have a good time with it. But just know that this project is not this is done. This is happening. It's going to happen.
Oh yeah.
So
there's a project I want to do the art for that we would have to get a few pages done and say, hey, do you like it? And if people liked it, like, okay, we need this much so I can like quit my job and do the art. Because I'm also coloring Hero 2 Book 2 at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. See, I think that's going to be a little bit harder to sell, but if we have the right pages and they look good,
yeah,
and we have a following, and we have the community with us,
then it's
it's absolutely possible. It would be very difficult for us as unknown creators to go out there and say, hey, we got this project. We want you to give us this amount of money so we can get it done without showing them, hey, look, we're committed to these things.
Exactly.
We've put in the time and we're not going to screw you people. I swear to God, we're not going to screw you.
That's the reason part of the reason why we're leading with Hero, because he's already working on the 3rd graphic novel.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'll be starting column the 2nd one Monday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it's going to be fun. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. And just so you guys know, I had planned on doing a series of videos entitled "Who is Hero?" kind of going into detail on exactly what the story is about, who the characters are, the process, everything. And for some reason, I just haven't gotten around to doing them yet. But those are going to be coming very soon. So if you subscribe to my channel, you will be notified when those get out there, and you'll be able to follow along with some of the really cool things that we're doing, and get to know more about Hero and what the project's all about. Kind of like my 2-minute pitch, just done over several videos.
For people that want to go a little bit further than what the
yes. Well, I found that every time I went to conventions and I talked to people, I told them what it's about, I could sell a book. You know?
Oh yeah, I watched you sell like 13 or something like that in like 3 hours on Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah.
When people were there for free stuff.
I was selling graphic novels. That's right. Because once you tell them what it's about and you show it to them, especially when you get to see the art, that's the thing that sells it for a lot of people. So
you were only there, dude, for like 4 hours.
Yeah. Well, I think we ended up selling 8 books that day, but still, that's.
No, you sold more than that.
Damn, I'm gonna have to go check my records and see what it was. Because
sold more than 8, dude.
Okay, well.
Maybe I'm counting some copies you gave away, because you sold every copy of book 1 you had.
Yes, I did.
And most of the copies you had of book 2, and several of your coloring books and sketchbooks too.
Oh, well, that's right. If you include those as well, so.
And you did it in like 4 hours on a day where people were there for free stuff.
Yep, that's right. And actually, I don't know if you remember, but I actually had a few people that came up and said, hey, I saw you at this show and I got book 1 and you have book 2. I want to buy book 2.
Cool.
Because they'd met me at previous shows. That last year, from December into January, I did a Kickstarter for Hero Book 1, and I made a little bit of money, and I was really happy with that. But the cool thing is it allowed me to fund. No, it wasn't last year; it was the year before. Damn it!
It was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, so I ended up going to like 12 or 13 shows all up and down the East Coast, and selling copies of Hero and talking to people and showing it to them, and I just had a ball. I didn't make a lot of money. Some of the shows I just barely broke even, but it was a lot of fun, and we're hoping that's one of the things that'll happen with this Indiegogo. If we can put a little bit of money aside, make conventions next year, especially more than just local conventions, which are usually the easiest ones to do. But
excuse me, sorry.
That's all right. All right, I'm gonna stop that video.
I'm still trying to shake off that cough. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you.
That's what makes me cough.
Oh, all right. So let's see what else we're going to do tonight. I don't have any new steelbook cases to show you guys. I wish I did, but I don't. I do have a bunch of comics. I don't think I showed you guys these. I actually made it to the comic book store last week. I did not make it there this week. Any chance you made it by this week?
Nah.
No? Okay. I kind of knew you were going to say that.
I'll go to. I'll probably go next week.
Okay, well, let me just share with you guys some of the stuff that I picked up this week. Dead Rabbit #1 from Image Comics. This is John McCrae's art. It's actually really good. I actually saw him in New York. I met him in New York. He was doing a sketch for somebody, and he didn't have any of the comics to sell. When I asked him about it, he said that they had copies at the Image booth, and the Image booth, I'm not saying anything bad about them, but they don't give you any type of discounts or anything. Everything is full price, cover price. There's no discounts, no bulk discounts, no nothing. So usually tend to stay away from them because they're there to make they're there to make money and not make deals. So, but I picked this up and it was pretty good, and I'll do a review of it eventually. Magic Order #4, which I absolutely adore this series. I think it's only a 6-issue limited series, so it's gonna wrap up soon. But one of the things I like about this one a lot is Olivier Coipel's art.
Mm-hmm.
And this issue, I hate to say it, kind of lacked a little bit. It wasn't as crisp as his other 3 issues, but I mean, it's a monthly schedule, but I still like it. So I'll do a review of that eventually. Oblivion Song, #8. I tell you what, this is one of my favorite comics out right now. The story is building. It's getting better and better. I still haven't found that character that I like, that I latch onto, but the art is just absolutely amazing. I don't know if anybody out there has been picking this one up, but the art is absolutely gorgeous. And I think I said it in one of my reviews of one of the earlier issues that I usually latch on to a character in a book, and that becomes like my favorite character. And it doesn't always have to be the main character. It could be a secondary character. But I think the character in this book that I like the most is the other world of Oblivion, because the artist, the way he draws it is just so gorgeous. I mean, look at this page. Isn't this beautiful?
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought you'd say. And then I picked up Book of Magic #1. As you can see, it's a blank cover, and that's the main reason I bought it. But the art's by Tom Fowler, and I love Tom Fowler stuff. He's got such an animated type style that it's just a lot of fun to read. The thing I think is funny, through this book, it kept having double-page, splash-page, double-page advertisements for other Vertigo books. It's almost like, here, you bought this, now let's advertise all our other books, which, that's what they do. And then, last but not least, Stellar #5. I've picked up every issue of Stellar because I think Brent Blevins is fantastic. And he has yet to disappoint with any of these issues. Just gorgeous. This is one of those ones, I think it's also a 6-issue series, that once they put it out in a trade, or especially if they put it out in a hardcover, I'll be picking it up in that way as well as all the single issues, because they are fantastic. So look forward to reviews of all those coming up, because I like to review stuff I like, and that stack of books is right up my alley and perfect. But, all right, guys, I appreciate you all hanging out with us this evening. I think we're going to wrap it up a few minutes early, mainly because both the Avery and I have to get to work early in the morning.
Yay.
Yay, I know. We have to go do that hard manual labor that keeps us buff and pretty looking. Am I right or am I right?
You're awful.
I know. Oh, hey, Jerry. How's it going, man?
What's up, Jerry?
Jerry's always creeping in the background somewhere. I always know he's there somewhere. But D loves all things. Commodore, Justin, thank you guys so much for joining.
Thank you so much, guys.
We're going to do this again on Monday, and my goal was originally to make a big announcement Monday. It may take a few days longer than that, so I'm hoping by the end of next week. So if you guys want to join in and on the fun and festivities when we get some things kicked off and launched and go-goed or whatever, I appreciate you, everybody, chiming in and hanging out with us. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, guys.